guys. Obviously, a catcher has to catch the ball. If you look at a high school team, any other team, period, it's receiving, trumps blocking, trumps throwing. But at our level, everyone wants to grab a ball and have a pop time of like 1-5. You guys know what that is, pop to pop. So pop hits my glove, it's a timing mechanism, right? It's an assessment for college coaches, pro coaches, even high school coaches, and pop to second base. But it's not even a great measurement of time because that still doesn't mean you got him out. A pop could be, I'm catching the ball 20 feet off of second base and I have a great pop time. Well, the guy's safe every time, Johnny. Don't worry about your pop time. Once you throw it accurately to second base, all right? So when you're talking catching, make sure they have to understand the name of their position is catch the ball. They have to catch it. If they're like, catch the ball, I don't care how we do it, right? The pitcher and the catcher have to have a relationship, and you guys have to have a relationship with the catcher. The best teams I've ever had, I felt like I didn't work all year because I put in so much work with conversations with the catcher, with the pitching staff. They had the scouting reports. There was a non-stop dialogue to make one of the hardest positions in sports easy. They will be afraid of the ball at your guys' level, right? Make sure their equipment fits them, please. Make sure they have a cup. It's amazing how many guys get to high school and won't show up with a cup. It's crazy. Oh, I don't wear the cup when I'm playing. Cool. Sit on the bench. You're not catching for me ever. What? I didn't stutter. Safety first. Make sure they have a cup. Make sure their chest protector doesn't look like a V-neck and come down to their like sternum. That's a big one, all right? Make sure we pull it back and it's snug and has some padding. Like I'll be the first person to say this. I don't do a good enough job checking our catcher's safety. I've done a way better job this year and last year, but prior to that, you just assume sometimes a catcher's going to have equipment that works and have padding. Or else when little Tommy keeps getting hit by the ball, he'll like say something. Hey, it hurts. Is it supposed to hurt? Like I can't breathe, coach. Alright? But that happens, right? So when you're catching, you're talking like basic 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old stuff, like whatever. I still have a video of myself. I ended up catching professional baseball and like that was my baby. I hit just enough to get to each level, but I was a catcher. That's why I was paid to play. I have a video of my first time ever catching 9-year-old All-Stars. Doing the most narrow setup you've ever seen. I'm like eating my glove and the ball goes right by my shoulder and I just go, whoa, Dad! Cool! I'm like, oh boy. So if I was that way at 9, I know we're gonna have just some solid people back here, but may not be too good at catching the baseball. Alright? I want you to think about transferable skills again. Take off the glove. Take off the glove. Hand gets better, hand's an extension of the glove. You gotta make it easier when they think it's just what you do all the time. Okay, so take this away. So target, lower target, gotta be on balance. Their bodies are not close to being developed yet. So like balance drills where maybe you kind of have them squat, right? And just kind of push them, just walk around and push them a little bit and see if they can kind of just really try to start to get their baby deer legs going. Because this is tough. It's tough to watch Little League baseball when you have a catcher that doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, it's just not a good setup. No one's happy in the stands. Coaches are pulling their hair out. It's tough, right? The more balls at them, the better. But you have to put it in a way where they're gaining confidence, right? Because there's so many people that you just throw back there as a catcher. You think they're fine. You think they like it, and they hate it. People have just told them you're a catcher. I know a lot of catchers that have burned out just because knees hurt, right? And now like no one remembers that when catchers keep getting hit here, it's not fun to hit. And you always lead off after you get drilled. You always lead off the next inning. Alright? So just understand, your catchers, you got to treat them like gold. And you got to make sure that they know they're an extension of you on the field. So just like I was talking about coaching up the outfielders, give them jobs. Because here's the reality. If I ever came down to the Little League, where someone came down, and there's more than like one finger going down, we're worried about the wrong kind of stuff. Right? We're not trying to miss bats at this level. Whether it's 12, 6, 8, 9, whatever. Right? It's probably going to be this, or it's probably going to be that. But it's probably going to be this, and we're setting up right down the white thing. Just right down the middle. Right? When we're catching, some things that you guys can work towards. When the ball hits my hand or my glove, all action stops. Don't let that ball take you for a ride. Okay? So when I'm talking receiving, I got my target right here. Eyes are behind my hand again. Boom! You absorb it in your body. Boom! Here you go. Alright? That's at the highest level. I don't want to have wasted movement. At your level, I would definitely recommend moving to the ball. Okay? This thing, if this is right and they catch it, they're good. But if their body's behind their hand a little bit, it's called ankle sway, right? When you're just kind of forward and backward. Hopefully, you get to a point where these lines, they can at least catch or make a good attempt at anything if you go scarecrow, top to bottom. If you're good within your wingspan, if you catch everything or block everything in this area, I think that's all we can ask for a catcher. And really at any level. Okay? So when you're talking receiving, some great drills. Mitch, you want to come on in here real quick? So guys, this is Mitch Sancier. He's out of Westmont High School, and then went to Santa Barbara City College. We've done, actually I'll have you go over here so you can see that. But he's now at San Francisco State, and we did a lot of work kind of over the summer with him and a bunch of other catchers in the area. But when we're talking about bare hand receiving, okay, he's going to go no glove, and you can just take just a few balls, give it target, catch it, drop it. That's all we're doing. One way to make that a little harder, and now you're talking about, tracking the baseball. That's really what baseball is in flight. We're tracking the baseball with our eyes. The spin on the seams tells us left, right, up, or down. Probably not going to go up, all right? So it's really telling us left, right, or down. So now you can do angle toss. So now you can kind of simulate, hey, have you seen when Madison Bumgarner, if he's still on the Giants, so Madison Bumgarner, have you seen that angle? Have you seen that angle? Have you seen even Buster Posey? He's so good, just perennial all-star. 3 World Series championships. Have you seen him when he catches the ball like that? Yeah, is he supposed to do that? It looks like it hurts. I don't want to catch it anymore. No, it's okay. It doesn't hurt him too bad. But that angle of that ball, the way Buster can catch that right is if he has his hand waiting for the ball, beating it to a spot. And so now you can kind of say, you guys know when you guard someone in basketball, you have to step and shuffle and cut them off. Or when you play football and you're a DB, you have to beat the guy to a spot. Same thing when you're catching. Have your target, beat the ball to a spot. And so this would kind of be a way to challenge probably the more advanced catchers, 10, 11, and 12. You can do angle toss. So he's still going to be squared up to the imaginary pitcher. But now, if you guys see, he's working on getting his body behind the ball. Okay, go ahead and catch it and hold it, Mitch. This is one absolute. In all sports, power up. As soon as you get here, okay, this is not as strong. Okay? Alright? So the power L is powerful. Contact, step, offensive lineman, going to throw, power L. Right? I'm knocking someone out. Right? I'm pushing someone, power L. So when you think about hitting, when you think about catching, receiving, power L. That's an easy one for them to remember. Alright? So when you're talking receiving, if you want to make it more difficult for your catcher, you can just move around. Now I put the glove on him. Now I can just throw. But what you can do is just give them situations and make it a game. If you train catchers at a young level, like I would train a high school catcher, they're just not going to want to do it anymore. You have to find out who their favorite catcher is and pretend like there's a game. Like play a straight up inning with them. Alright, I'm pitching to you. Or have one of the other pitchers and now you're working a bullpen. Right? But you can take it or teach their parent to do this. Pick your favorite pitcher, go out in the front yard, throw a whole game to your son. Right? It's only going to take about 20 minutes. You would hope it'd take like 20 minutes. But if you can just make this something they do on their own, it's so much easier as a team because who here really has time to grab one person and spend this much time at a Little League practice? Nobody. Nobody really does. All right, so we need to kind of teach these guys to go and get work by themselves, or you have 2 catchers, and now when you have like the first 10 minutes, or now early work, another option. For early work, barehanded receiving for the catchers. Guys, go make sure you do 4 rounds of 5, you catch 20 balls before you start every day. I want you to catch 20. I don't care if it takes you 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I want you to catch 20 balls with your bare hand. Okay? So that's some different ways just based on receiving. Now, I would not spend too much time working on throwing at the Little League level as far as the catching position. You can't steal. So you're coming out of a crouch, get into an athletic position, throw the ball accurately. We just went through a huge throwing program. You guys are all adults. I would not spend too much time on trying to throw a guy out from the catcher position. Okay? Because all those things are transferable skills we just talked about. They're going to be playing different positions too. Right? As far as blocking, a couple absolutes. Alright? The first thing I'm going to do, alright, is if there were a man on at a higher level, you're going to have your butt up because they might be running. At the Little League level, maybe not. Maybe not. Depends on the kid you got. Right? Depends on his body type. With 2 strikes, with a man on, if you could start teaching to have the butt up and a 2 stance right here, that's great. But I would try to have a little bit of movement in my hips, because objects in motion tend to stay in motion. But if you guys notice, my hand is not moving too much. I got a target. Lead with your glove. If we are going to block, if you lead with your glove, it's like having good hands. In a Major League Baseball game, I talk to these guys about this all the time. If I stood on my head or stood on one foot and I'm facing Chapman in a big league game and I barrel up a ball, could I get a hit right now at AT&T Park? Like, no, you couldn't. I go, of course I could. I told you I barreled it up. If I barreled it up. So I could do everything else wrong, but hand-eye coordination in baseball wins out. Right? So now you're talking blocking. If I do everything else wrong, but I take my glove to the right spot, I might keep the ball in front of me. Now, that's also why you see a lot of this. Right? And now you got to teach him, hey, Timmy, I know you said you wanted to catch, but the gear's actually on the front side of you. It's not back here. So that would hurt more. Right? And so now if we're talking about blocking specific drills, I would use a tennis ball. I would be on a knee. And I would just make sure, like, basically, we're going to simulate it right here, Mitch, the one we usually do. So you're on the mat. I would just be right here, and we're just simulating the ball right in front of you. So I'm right here. You have way less space. It's way harder to go down and quickly get into a blocking set. Okay, so I throw it. He's going to go down, and you kind of want to play a game where if you have a hitting mat or some cones, like a half circle, if you can keep it within that circle, what did you do? You absorb the ball. Think like a pillow and an egg. Like the opposite of a trampoline effect. You don't want to block a double. That's the worst thing ever. You go down, it hurts, and now you got to run after the ball, and you look stupid. It just sucks. Alright? So with blocking with the Little League kid, lead with your glove. Another key for you guys. Soft to the ground. Tuck your chin and look it off the chest protector. So starting over. Lead with the glove. Soft to the ground. And you're looking the ball off your chest protector. The hardest thing for young catchers is to let the ball hit them. It's an unnatural act. So use tennis balls as much as you can. And again, for the guys that are more competitive, go, Coach, I don't want to use a tennis ball. I can use a real baseball. I went to a Stanford camp last week. All right? Say, I know, Timmy, but here's the thing. It's actually harder when you use the tennis ball because it bounces off you. So I want to see if you can get the tennis ball to stick right there. And you totally want to use a baseball the whole time, right? You totally want to use a baseball. You don't want to use a freaking tennis ball. But the other guy in this group is scared of the ball. So now you have to think about, okay, I have 2 or 3 catchers I got to do some work with. Alright? But as much as you can, keep this really simple. Empower them. Empower them. Make sure they're confident. Because if they're not confident, it's not going to be a fun season. Right? Because you're not back here catching, they are. So just especially on the catching thing, I would keep it very simple. Keep it very simple. Empower them. And and try to create some sort of environment where before or after practice, you cater to the catchers a little bit. Give them extra swings. I would definitely give them extra swings. Give them an extra round. You got to reward this, because if you guys all know it. Every good team that anyone's ever had for baseball had a stud as a catcher, right? I mean, half you guys saw Grandal have just a terrible, just looked like he was catching with a skillet, right? It's just, everything's just bad. If you have a catcher that can't do it, it's all bad. All right, before I kind of move on to pitching, does anyone have a question with how they might handle catching at the Little League level? Because it's one of the most under-taught things, and for the right reason. We don't have time. We just don't. You have 12 kids. You got to teach them multiple positions. You got to teach them, like, we haven't even go over signs yet. We've already played 2 games. What the heck, right? It's tough. So, any quick questions on the catching stuff?
So I see a lot of catchers putting their throwing arm behind their back. Is that...
Great question. So, show me over that. So, my throwing hand. You can tell if you saw a catcher in the Rockies organization because Marv Foley taught us all this. Without this, you can't play baseball. You can't hold the ball, and you can't hit. So, it's curl the thumb, curl around it. Now you're protecting yourself. He'd always tell me, Nate, you're one foul ball away from the big leagues. Because if Yorvi Torrealba was the catcher for the Rockies when I was an A-ball, if he got hurt and the flights didn't work out for a couple other catchers, or they didn't want to bump him up, they'd bump someone up from A-ball. Right? So you can kind of be telling people, hey, make sure, just safety, you got to cover that thumb. So here, that's it. This is when they're playing catch. You're doing it when you're playing catch. So right here, cover the thumb. And so now when I go to catch, it's just a habit. That's going to be a tough one because you don't have straight catchers at your age, right? But when they're catching, protect the thumb. Next thing is we're talking about the whole hand. So again, there's no one stealing. So I wouldn't mess with it too much. Putting it behind your back to me is interesting. Does everyone do that right now? Everyone go ahead and put your right hand behind your back. Doesn't feel right. You got tension in your shoulder, and it feels worse and worse the longer you do it. Right? Instead of just letting it hang naturally behind your right heel. So it's covered. So to me, that's less surface area for a foul tip. I actually have, that's more natural when we walk around. What do? Our arms are hanging out our sides. So to me, that's natural. Nobody on, all things equal, I'm right here. This to me is interesting because I'm out kind of in the open. If you guys can see this. Now a ball takes me this way. I'm not going to catch it with my hand. My hand's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Ball's over here. Hand's still out in the middle of nowhere. Ball's over here. I was taught, and I like this one, but this is one you guys have to take a look at who you have, and this is your call. I'm just giving you answers here. Or just giving you a couple different options. So I'm curling it. I shove it right in the middle of my chest. Because what's in the way? What's usually in the way? My glove. Now, if the ball goes here, it's still at least kind of jammed in there. I don't know how many balls I've seen. I mean, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, Mitch, but how many balls are really fouled straight back in a catcher's chest? Not too many. Really not too many. I've seen shin guard. I mean, I've been hit everywhere. I don't think I ever got drilled right here. Face all the time. But for whatever reason, some people also will shove it kind of back down in here. For Little League, put it behind the right heel. I would do that. This just to me makes me off balance, almost like top heavy. Okay? But John, that's a very good question. Alright? You got anything to add, big guy? Awesome. Mitch said, "Siri, buddy." Thank you, sir.